Okay, so do you pay tax? How's your tax going? Are you playing nice with the government or are you paying your tax? I know in many places they're very, very serious about tax. Some places you can play. Matter of fact, in many African countries, you don't necessarily have to pay tax. You can have business and be fine. In fact, there's no set price for tax. You can negotiate your tax when they come for you. So you may leave a business without paying tax. You can have a business without paying any tax, but you can only just start paying tax when they come for you, and you can negotiate and say, oh, listen, I can't pay 20%. I only have 2%. Okay. Give me 3%, So in Kenya, they have a brand new tax. It's called the cat tax. Yes, you heard me right. Cat tax in Nairobi. It's tax on cat, tax on pet. This has gone crazy and many people are very angry about this. In other words, if you have a pet, you have a cat as a pet, you're going to start paying tax for your cat every single year. So it's about 200 Kenya shillings for your cat per year. I know, it's crazy. So basically, you have a tax for your cat. You need to buy a register and register your cat as a pet. You have to have an annual license for your cat. You have to have a vaccination card for your... It's crazy, fellas. I mean, this is insane. So, for those of you who don't remember, just a while back, Kenyans were down in the street fighting very hard to fight against tax. What tax were those? So the Kenyan government, Kenyan parliament came up with a brand new law, tax on many things, like tax on bread. You don't buy bread at the normal price. There's an extra price for the bread. Tax on women's pad, monthly pad. Tax on cancer treatment. I mean, just imagine, for your woman pad, sanitary pad, you have to pay tax on top of it. For the cancer treatment, you have to pay tax. I mean, it's already very difficult for a person who's battling with cancer, then having to be told that you have to pay an extra tax to that. Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, so many Kenyans came down the street fighting against that. They said, this is unacceptable. We will not tolerate this. You need to cut off this nonsense tax. It's unacceptable.
There are still things that they're trying to pass as different bills away from the finance bill. And so for us, we are exhausted with the constant lies, with constantly taking us for fools. At the end of the day, we are a people who are educated and know exactly what we want and what is supposed to be happening in this country.
And it's very sad because many Kenyans lost their lives because of that. And why did they need this tax? Because government said they were indebted to World Bank and many other international institutions. So they needed to find a local way of generating money so they can pay back their debt and also get to build the country with the money coming from the people. But did they choose the right thing? Question mark. They chose to tax cancer treatment, tax bread, tax underwears, tax woman pad. Yeah, so it didn't work out. So now that tax thing is gone, after many Kenyan people lost their lives, many Kenyan people fought, got beaten, thrown in jail. Now they've come up with a brand new tax. Tax for the cat. This is insane. So Kenya, especially Nairobi, has a lot of cats. And now they're trying to regulate the population of the cat. And if you want to keep your cat, you need to register your cat. You need an annual license, vaccination card for your cat. You need to keep your cat on check. You need to make sure your cat doesn't make too much noise. You need to make sure your cat doesn't loom around the neighborhood for nothing. So that's what it is. And you need to pay 200 Kenyan shillings for your cat. So what's negative about cats in Kenya is that cats have killed about 2,000 people a year with rabies. You know rabies, right? Rabies is a viral disease that you catch once you get bitten by an animal that's infected. You very slowly start losing your mind, losing your abilities. And also the symptom of rabies is you're very scared of water. When they give you water, you start shaking really, really bad. We can't show you the images because unfortunately, we're going to be censored. And by the time you start fearing water, you're dead. It's irreversible. Very sad. So if you can get vaccination against rabies, I suggest you do so. So 2,000 people died in Kenya from rabies. The population of cats is out of hand. So government want to find a way to regulate that. You're going to be paying crazy stuff. That's Kenya for you fellas. So cat tax bill, that's the bill. Cat tax bill. And it's catastrophic, they say. Absolutely insane. So is this the first time we hear stories about crazy taxes in the world? Not necessarily. There have been some crazy tax all over the world. Like in Italy, for instance. In Italy, they have the sunshine tax. The sunshine tax means when you go to a restaurant or to a space where you can sit outside when the sun is going down, having a drink, it's privileged. So you need to pay tax for sitting outside under the sun and having a sip of a drink because it's a privilege. That's one of the crazy tax you get from Italy. Sunshine tax. In Canada, for instance, you have what you call the vacant home tax. What does the vacant home tax stand for? Let's say you have many houses and one of your houses is not very much occupied. So you don't spend a lot of time in one of your houses. You're gonna get taxed for that.
But for the people who choose to keep units empty all the time, we're saying you're making a choice. It is your choice, but there's a cost to that choice because you are denying some person in Toronto who needs a home the opportunity to live in that unit you're choosing to keep empty.
You have an extra house, you don't stay there very much. You're going to get taxed because you don't stay in your house a lot. That's in Canada. In Denmark, you have what you call the burp tax. Yeah, I know, you're thinking about burping. A lot of you guys will be very much taxed. Yeah, but don't worry. The burp tax in Denmark is not about human beings. It's more about cows. They believe when a cow burps, there is an emission of gas and that's detrimental to the environment. Therefore, for every burp, you pay a tax.
Importantly, all money raised from charges on emissions will be recycled back into the system to fund further research, tools and technology.
Crazy stuff, isn't it? Now, in Russia, in the 80s, in 1800s, they had the beard tax. The beard tax was, basically it was Alexander Great. He didn't like facial beard from people. Therefore, if you wanted to keep facial beard, you had to pay an extra tax for it. Yeah, so most of the people were shaved. If you want to stay unshaved, you have to pay an extra tax for that. That's crazy, isn't it? You see people paying tax for beard. And in France, England, and Scotland, they had what they call the window tax. So for your house to have windows, you pay tax for each window. Imagine that. If you want to have 8 windows, you're going to pay tax for each window that you have in your house. Crazy stuff, isn't it? I mean, some of these things today we take for granted. You have a massive window. It's ended in 1851. That's in Britain. That's why you see today in Britain, in some places, houses with windows that have been filled with bricks, right? Why did that happen? That's happened because the owner of the house could not pay tax for those windows. So then they had to choose which window to close. Crazy stuff, isn't it? When you don't have window, there's clearly no wind, no sun, and that makes you very, very sad. And also an eventual proliferation of diseases. So having a window was a luxury. Crazy. It's insane, fellas. These taxes have come all the way. Tax for this, tax for that, tax for beard, tax for sitting outside, tax for windows, tax for having a cow, tax for having a cat, tax for having a dog. It's just crazy stuff. Let me know how you feel about this. It's absolutely crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Why don't we live in a world where there's no tax, such as in places such as Libya? Libya was a beautiful place. Nobody paid tax. Yeah, you make your own money, it's your money, 100%, no doubt, it's yours. The West hated that, okay? Fuel was very cheap. The West hated that because for them, Libya was not a democracy. And in order to be a democracy, you need to do things the way they want you to do. And the Libyan government refused to do that. There was no tax in those countries. So they had to destroy it just to show you that there's no alternative to what they call democracy. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. Kenyan tax on cat and all these other tax in Italy. Sunshine tax, vacant home tax, burp tax, cat tax, facial beard tax. God bless.